Camera.
Hello, Kate. Shep Evans here.
Hi, Shep. How are you?
Very well. I'm looking for my video. I don't see it. Oh, I have to go down here and do that. Okay.
Hi, David. Good evening.
Hi.
See where are there? If we got anybody else yet?
Oh, there we are.
Shep, Jess Toro was wondering if there's anything on the agenda that she's needs to be here for.
I think we did it already at the last meeting.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
forestry mowing. Are you online, Jess?
I can hear. Why don't I make her allowed to talk?
Can you hear me, Shep?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. We had your forestry mowing initially starting at the Division Street
Correct.
car park and going north.
Yes.
Forestry mowing last time.
Yes.
And then you submitted a notice of intent for phase two, if you will.
Yep.
And I left you a message saying that that was a fairly hefty filing, and in order to communicate it to all the members of the commission and stuff, we didn't really have time for everybody to absorb it and digest it. If you want to talk about it, that's fine, but we'll have to hear it at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. I did send you the PDF of everything, but I couldn't figure out how to get the online filing as part of that.
The online filing, what?
So you had asked for me to collapse all the paper information into a single PDF,
Yes.
and I sent that to you. The only part missing from that is the online filing.
Oh, yeah, well, the filing, we don't really need. I mean, we have to see the notice of intent.
Mhm.
So maybe the thing to do is to print it and scan it.
Oh, so what you were asking me for is not all the accessory.
Yes.
So when I gave you the 2 copies, what you're looking for is not what DEP does, but I thought the accessory part so they could see it. Or no, am I
Yeah,
mistaken?
no, that's right. But I mean, we need to see the notice of intent itself, which is your EDEP filing, right?
Yes. So, okay. So that part I'll need to print out, but you do have the 2 copies and DEP has their copy as well.
I presume.
Yeah.
Yes, we have ours.
Yeah. So that's just to be able to share with the Concom.
Yeah, but it's a whole dense stack of, I don't know, how many pages, 30, 40 pages, whatever it is.
Okay. And have you received a DEP number for it?
No, I have not. And that's a
Okay.
problem we're having with DEP. Other people are having much worse problems. I know commissions that are waiting on file numbers for like 6 filings.
Yeah, we're having a similar problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need to get you the EDP as an electronic document, and then everything, you've gotten all the extra copies.
Right.
Okay. So if I can talk about the project tonight just a little bit so people know what it is, that's great.
That's fine. Kate, when we get to, you may have to wait a little bit, but Kate, when we get to discussion, if you want to stick, make room for Jess in there.
We are quite a few members short at the moment, so we'll wait a few more minutes.
Now, Andrew is out of town.
Okay.
David is here. Hello, David.
Hi.
And I'm sure that Andy and Michael will be here. They were both at site visits with us. Kate, we may be having some difficulty with new attendees understanding the much briefer link and meeting code. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's the link is working on the agenda, so.
Yeah, sure. No, it worked just fine for me.
Oh, we've got Andy Didio.
Yes.
Do you know, Shep, if oh, I'm blanking on his name. Our potential new member has gotten.
He's
through the select
traveling. No,
board?
he's on the road this week. He
Okay.
wanted me to, he acknowledged I sent him an email and I sent him the agenda and stuff. He indicated that he would be on the road this week. He is intending to attend the select board meeting on the, 26th, 28th, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yep. Next
Is it
Monday.
It's David, isn't it? Is it David? What's his name?
What is his name? Tom.
Tom, yes.
Tom
Tom.
Ferris.
I was
Yep.
way off.
As soon as Michael Lanou shows up, we can get going.
You have reached 413-528-9815. Please leave your name and your number, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
Where are we? 6:40. Kate, I'm gonna jump out of my chair here and go call Michael, make sure he's
Okay.
coming.
Great. Thank you, Shep.
Yep.
Looks like some fine woodworking on those scarps there.
Mm.
How'd the other site visits go? Okay, anything I should be?
There was a barn and garage property from Ben Barrett, which was a lovely property, and Orion got to feed some birds right out of his hand, so that was cool. Pretty straightforward. We have a good map to show on that one. And then we went over and did quite a nice little hike at the Thomas and Palmer Brook
For the boat bridge.
footbridge thing there. Also pretty straightforward, using some stone that's already naturally on site there, and maybe an I-beam. It's the sort of path through the woods there that's like, maybe an old logging road or something like that.
Mhm.
And the stream is I don't know, maybe 2 feet across. It's a little woodland stream there.
Okay.
Well, I'll just say thank you to everyone who's listening and watching for your patience. We need a quorum in order to start the meeting, so we are waiting on a fourth commissioner to see if he can join us, and maybe Shep might have word here. Just, you can unmute yourself when you're ready, Shep.
Did Michael call in?
Oh, there is a,
He said he was going to call in on, he's having computer problems, but he was
Okay.
going to do it on the phone.
let's see, this might be him. I have a
Yep.
couple.
I have a little phone icon up there.
I have a couple of phone numbers with no name. Does anyone know off the top of your head what's the, do you have to dial something to unmute?
Yeah, isn't it?
Hi, can you hear me? This is Shannon.
Oh, hi,
It's
Shannon.
Star. Hi,
Okay.
it's star six.
It's star
to
six.
unmute. Yeah, I logged in through the computer, but my picture doesn't come up. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Okay, so we are, okay, let's see if the second person I just added here is indeed Michael.
Can you hear me, Kate? I can hear you
Yes.
guys.
Great.
All right.
All right.
Sorry about
Found
that.
Michael.
Thanks.
Shannon, I'm gonna put you back in the audience.
Peanut
Okay.
gallery.
I will try to sign in again.
Let's try to think of
The
a
pen.
non-peanut
Yeah.
gallery word.
Corral, you're
So
back
for
in the
everyone
pen.
who's watching,
For those who
we are
remember
now,
the
the town
Howdy
is
Doody
now using a
show,
webinar format. So you can see board members and anyone who has the floor. But for anyone who is watching as someone who's here to attend, you can raise your hand by the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen to speak. And if you are on the agenda, I will add you to a panelist. I think this is part of a Zoom security measure so that we can see and hear the Conservation Commission members. Okay. It's 6:45. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Great Barrington Conservation Commission on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Let's have a roll call to identify attendees. I'm Kate Van Ulst. I'm the chair. I'm present. David Shanahan.
Present.
Andy Didio.
Here.
Michael Lanu.
I'm here.
All right.
And
The
Kate,
first
I
section.
just was able to I was able to sign in on my computer. I got my hand raised.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Promote to panelist. All right, look at that. The wonders of technology. We're all here.
the Michael Lanu.
I apologize profusely about that. I don't know what happened.
That's all right. We're glad you're here. So this first section is the public meeting section of our agenda. The commission is holding this public meeting to consider requests for determination of applicability under the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, the Great Barrington Wetland Bylaw, or the Berkshire Scenic Mountains Act as follows. Item number 1, an RDA from Molly Comstock at 3 Seekonk Road, map 33, lot 71. The project consists of establishing a new minimum tillage organic vegetable farm outside of the inner 100-foot riverfront area along Seekonk Brook. Molly's here with us. You can tell us about your project, Molly.
I'm just hoping to do some, like you said, minimum tillage, organic farming on that piece of property in the zone that it is allowed.
We had a site visit there yesterday. We were able to see the Seekonk Brook, see the area that's proposed to be used for farming. We understand that as long as you are 100 feet away from the edge of the brook, that farming is a permitted usage. Any questions or comments?
One question I had, Molly, was when you say minimum tillage, is there a depth? I mean, is that a technical term, or what's the tillage depth that you do?
There's a movement in farming, and especially small organic farming, to reduce, let me amend that actually. It's across even big ag and conventional agriculture to reduce tillage to protect the soil. And so reduced or no-till means, for instance, in my last farm, like I don't bring the tractor into the field to do any of the field work anymore. We do that all either by hand or with no tillage of the soil at all. So I feel like it would be good for you guys to know that, because I think it's advantageous to the soil, and it means a lot. There's very minimal equipment coming in there. So that's just one of my farming practices that I thought you guys should know about. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean no tractors, but it means extremely limited.
So you rely on the kind of seasonal frost heave to loosen the soil, is that?
Yeah, and I use a lot of tarps actually to protect the soil, and then when you remove those tarps off the soil, it's really easy to work in the soil with I use this broad fork, which is this really cool tool to aerate the soil.
Mhm.
So we basically use hand tools to aerate the soil.
Which is like a fork with like a separate
they're
hinge
like
that pops
fingers.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pops it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I may someday get a small tiller, not to do this action, but to do this action. There's just been a lot of research about the more we turn the soil like this, the more we disturb the microbial life that's in there. And there's just a lot of current research about how much more nutrition there is in food that's grown in soil that's disturbed less and less, just because there's so much life in there that's doing positive things on their own, that the less we disturb that, the more benefit we get from it. So it's one of the practices that I'm really committed to using, because it's it feels like the right thing to do.
David, just to bring you up to speed, as far as the site visit is concerned, Kate, Michael, Shep, and I took a walk of the property. It's the vast majority of it is kind of an upland area that's to the east side of the brook, and Molly intends to farm in her outside the kind of regulated 100-foot area for agricultural use, which by and large corresponds to the floodplain area, or presumed floodplain area to the creek there. So it's pretty high and dry. It's traditionally been ag and hayed, or just kind of meadow ag. So that's kind of what we saw there, and then eventually Molly, as part of that, which is non-regulated, is a residence that she would like to construct, but would be well outside the resource area.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as proposed with the condition that, the agricultural practice be maintained outside the 100-foot setback from the stream.
Second.
Vote by roll call. David,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming to visit and thank you for putting me on the agenda.
Thanks, Molly. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
If I may, Kate,
Yeah, sure.
there it is. I think that would be a number 3, negative number 3.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Keep us on our toes. Negative number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant when I made my motion. It was a -3.
I'm sorry. Can I just ask who plays those harps? Am I allowed to
Oh,
ask? I know it's
Shep's wife is a harpist.
Wow. Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's not the office. Not my office, anyway. It's her studio.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Bye, Molly.
Okay, up next, number 2, an RDA from Kimberly Weatherell on behalf of David Katzoff. Property at 79 Brush Hill Road, map 38, lot 63.1. The project consists of replacing a failed 3-bedroom septic system with a new 5-bedroom septic system. And we have Kimberly here with us. Hello, welcome, good evening. You can just unmute yourself. There you go.
I've unmuted myself. How
There
are
you
you?
go. Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Would you describe the project for us?
Okay, the project is on 97 Brush Hill Road. There is a single-family home. The new owners are proposing to expand the home from a 3-bedroom to a 5-bedroom. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
3-bedroom to a 5-bedroom, and a new septic system there, which would replace the prior septic system, is being proposed to be installed behind the house. I think most of you were there yesterday for a site visit up on basically a hill behind the house.
Sorry. Go ahead, Shep.
Yeah, if I may, I had the opportunity to review the plan again today, and I have a question, and you may not have the answer right away, Kimberly, I don't know. I know that there is a residence, or a house at least, close by, standing on the road, looking at the property would be to the left, the downhill side of the
Correct.
subject property. And it's my understanding that a septic system needs to be at least 100 feet away from a well, a residential water supply. Do you have any knowledge of where the well is on the property next door?
There's actually a note on the plan. I believe it's note number 7 under construction notes, that it's 150 feet away.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's not actually on the design, probably because it's beyond the 100 foot. So yeah, but it is in the construction notes. However, I don't know if you saw your emails this afternoon. The Board of Health has required a reserved area on this. I found out yesterday late.
Yes.
And did you get that revised plan? Chet?
No, I didn't, but that's okay.
Okay, so the reserved area is, again, it's outside that 50-foot buffer of that stream, or what we're calling an intermittent stream. And it's perpendicular, a perpendicular area right next to the proposed system.
Yeah,
So basically what's going to happen is they'll probably use that area anyway to bring in equipment and construct the new leaching field area. And then they'll just grass and mulch it. And then that would be the reserved area.
yeah, understand.
Okay.
Yeah, these are really Board of Health questions, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Just let you know that that's what's happening there. It wasn't on the plan, the initial plan.
Yeah, understand.
Okay. And then there were some other questions yesterday. I think, Kate, you asked about who the installer was going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be All-Star. If you want to just on your notes. And then I believe someone asked about the large hemlocks down below where the tanks are going to go. I can't remember who asked, but they're all remaining. They're all going to be staying there. It's not going to be any disturbance there as far as those hemlocks will be disturbed in any way.
Okay, do you have a name for the I mean, I understand there's a company that's going to be installing, but the principal, who's the guy?
Well, that would be Bill Allen.
There you go. Okay. No, I thought that's who it was, but I couldn't remember. We know Bill Allen.
Okay.
Kimberly, as a matter of course, just keeping an eye on those hemlocks. I know they say that they're not going to be impacted and that maybe they don't have to cut it down, but they'll definitely be within the root ball of those hemlocks based on where the tank locations are that I saw. So keeping an eye on those because they're big trees and they're very close to the house. So I guess word to the wise is for them to just keep an eye on them so that if they do start to look like they're going to fail, that they get them taken down before they fall in the house.
Thank you. Thank you. That's noted. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I may, excuse me, if I may jump in, I can tell you from personal experience that if you're within the drip line of trees and you're subject to root growth, leach fields are an attractive nuisance. Roots tend to grow towards the leach field, and the time may come when one will open up that field and you'll find lots of roots in it.
Or septic tanks. You know,
there you go.
They'll find you'll hydraulic cement the inlet or outlet to the septic tank, and they'll
Very
find
true.
their way in. You open it up, and there's a wad of roots right at the outlet.
Yep.
That lines
Right.
off.
Yep. Very true.
Anything else that you?
Doing the DOH's job. Sorry, Michael.
I think I'd like to suggest, just because of the angle of the slope on that area, that we have Shep come out and take a look at the start of construction,
Erosion controls.
erosion controls.
Yeah.
Maybe the forecast.
Can I just add, I just received a text. Paul Giardina owns All-Star. I guess they wanted you to know that. Bill Allen does not own All-Star.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Okay, just want to let you know.
Um,
Anything else? So we'll contact Shep as soon, right before construction starts. Okay. Not a
yeah,
problem.
he'll come out, just him. He'll do a quick site visit to see that everything is in place and you are set to start construction on the septic. David, I have the site plan open here. I can screen share it if you'd like to see it. It's, yeah, all right. It's tiny, but I'll try to zoom in as much as I can. Let's see.
Yeah, David, it's a fairly significant hillside that the house is constructed on. They're trying to build the septic upslope of the house. to replace the existing septic, which is just a leaching field, or sorry, a seepage pit right now, to the north side of the house. And it's within proximity of an ephemeral or a drainage channel. So we went out and took a look, but
So this
Kimberly,
is the driveway. This is the house. This is the existing failed septic behind the house.
Mhm.
This is uphill to where the proposed septic is here.
Yep.
There were a few trees tagged to be removed in this area.
I'm very familiar with that part of the town. So it looks like that's but the only way you could fit things together.
Yeah, and right here
A
is
lot of elevation change on a lot of that property, so.
indeed. There's a little intermittent stream right along here. Probably goes under the road there.
It's probably one between each house.
Just about.
Probably is. Yep.
Yeah, well, it looks like I don't see if there's any way that you could come up with a better plan than that based on the constrictions there are.
I'll make
right,
a motion to, oh, sorry. Okay,
Go ahead. I was just gonna ask for any other questions or comments.
None for me.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as proposed, the revised plan, with a negative, what is it, Shep?
3.
-3, with the revised plan received on 3/23. With the condition that Shep be contacted for inspection of erosion control measures prior to construction.
A second.
All right, we'll vote by roll call. David,
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. It is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Have a good night.
You too.
You
Be
too.
well.
Okay, so next. All right, number 3, an RDA from Foresight Land Services on behalf of Berkshire Natural Resources Council. Property on State Road, map 16, lot 2E. The project consists of installing a wooden footbridge over an intermittent stream, replacing a hiking trail forward through the stream. We have Jackson Alberti here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackson Alberti with Foresight Land Services, here to represent the applicant, Berkshire Natural Resource Council, care of Tyler Fogg. As you mentioned, the RDA has been submitted for the installation of a proposed footbridge over an existing intermittent stream. If it might be helpful if I could just share my screen briefly. And I can show you some details and photographs of that bridge location for anyone who wasn't there.
Let's see. Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay, are you all able to see that on screen?
Yes.
So this is the existing Woods Road hiking trail on site of the Thomas Palmer Brook. This is not Thomas Palmer Brook. This is an intermittent stream located nearby. As you can see, there's an existing trail that crosses the stream of the ford here currently. It's about 2 to 3 feet wide generally in the crossing location. What we have designed in conjunction with Berkshire Bridge and Iron is a simple I-beam stringer bridge with a wooden decking on top that would be placed on local stone abutments that would span the bridge embankment or these stream embankments, and the idea would be to not alter those stream banks whatsoever. And then any ramping up to the bridge surface that needs to be done would be done with like local crushed stone. And then any cribbing would be constructed around that to contain that. And that is pretty much the entirety of the proposed work. It's a little higher on one side of the bridge than the other, so there'll likely have to be slightly larger abutments on the downhill side. But overall, we feel this is very minimal and non-disturbing project to the stream, and will overall improve the condition of the stream, as it'll prevent people and vehicles from passing through the stream ford. One other thing to point out about this notice of intent is we did contact Natural Heritage right away at the beginning of this process to see if we should file a MESA review for this proposed work. After discussing the work with Natural Heritage, David Paulson specifically, he determined that MESA review does not need to be submitted for this limited work. And that is pretty much the entirety of what I can say about the project. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
Well, I have one.
Sure.
About the crushed stone that's going to be used. You
Mhm.
mentioned something about containing that somehow.
Yep.
Can you describe what's going to be done? My concern here is that with traffic, even with people walking by foot, and the capricious weather we have, I just feel that some of that may escape from exactly where it was put. So you mentioned cribbing, and I'm just concerned that the use of that is a great idea, but it shouldn't be allowed to migrate, I guess is the best word to use.
Yep. Yeah, I believe they would likely use like a 2x6 boards for right up against the edge of the bridge to prevent any that crushed stone flowing into the stream, and then whatever cribbing out of the same, probably the same 2x6s on the sides to contain whatever they need to. But hopefully there won't be too much of a need to create large ramps. And it'll sit relatively close. The bridge will sit relatively close to existing grade. So
Well, if you're putting something in there to hold the stone and it's wood, it's going to rot away after a while. But the point is, it temporarily is holding everything in place. And the tendency is going to be when the weather hits and all that, that it's going to be a big solid glob eventually. So the concern was initially, was there going to be something to kind of hold things together where it's the deepest, which would be the closest to the actual bridge.
Yeah.
You satisfy the questions.
Glad I can.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Oh, it looks good. My only question yesterday was just what, if any, machinery, and they're gonna do most of that work by hand, so that's pretty good.
I'm good.
All right, great. It's a lovely walk. You should get out there and check it out. All right, let's take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as proposed with standard conditions. Unless anybody has any special conditions.
Second that.
That's a negative number
3.
3.
Great.
We're on a roll.
It's implied at this point.
I know. I was outside all day doing yard work, and I can't lift my arms up past here anymore. We'll vote by roll call. David.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Plan is approved.
Thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Ben Barrett. Okay, item number 4, an RDA from Benjamin Barrett, property at 35 Locust Hill Road, map 31, lot 22B. The project consists of constructing a 24-foot by 48-foot garage and a 24-foot by 36-foot pole barn outside of the buffer zones of bordering vegetated wetlands.
Just a little bit.
Hello, welcome.
Greetings. Hi, commissioners. Thank you for doing what you do. My name is Ben Barrett. I'm out at 35 Locust Hill Road in Great Barrington, and we're looking forward to, hopefully, with your blessings, do a garage first and a pole barn at some point in the future, maybe next year. But I thought it'd be more efficient to ask for both blessings for, I'm going to be different than the other people. I'm gunning for a -1 tonight instead of a -3, just to be different. So my understanding is that both of my projects will in fact be out of resource area, and therefore I'm looking for ultimately just permission to build this 3-car garage and then someday a pool barn as well. And so I'm sorry, Andy, that you weren't there yesterday, but Michael and Kate and Shep did come by and put their eyeballs on it. And so I'm hoping this will happen this year. The garage will happen maybe this fall if possible, if I can pull the right contractors together for it. And if I could get your blessings to do that, I'd be most appreciative.
I'm going to share the plan that you submitted so that we can take a look.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my napkin sketch here is not a engineer survey by a licensed engineer, but we did put boots on the ground with tape measures there to look at the site and confirm that everything really is pretty much out of resource areas, in my opinion. So the garage is to the right of the residence. The residence is the dark blob sort of in the middle there, and the garage will be I didn't put the driveway in there, but the garage is to the right, the east, to the northeast of the residence, and the pole barn is in a westerly direction off the residence. The primary concern was the vernal pool, certified vernal pool in the far left corner, extreme western portion, and then another wetland to the north and then another wetland. Most of our property here is either ledge or wetland, but we were able to find a little place to put the garage and the pole barn without being a problem, I hope.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
I guess without having seeing it, and sorry, Ben, for not being there. The pole barn within 100 feet, it's got plus or minus 100 feet or 100 feet plus. Did you guys get a sense of whether the mapped wetland boundary was consistent with what you saw in the field? Does it feel as though it's outside the resource area?
I can answer that, Andy, to the best of my ability. When I had that 100 feet plus or minus, only because I wasn't sure exactly where the corner of the pole barn was going to, the western portion of the pole barn, where it was going to land. So I drove some stakes in the ground, and we determined that it was more like, I think it was more like about 130 or 135 feet outside of what I presume to be BVW. So my opinion, for what it's worth, I did do a 12-year tour on the Egremont Conservation Commission. And so I've got some knowledge, but I am not a wetland delineation specialist. So if you would like to come out, I'd be only too happy to have you look at it. But I think we proved with beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was in fact well beyond jurisdiction.
Yeah, Andy, he had it staked and a path clear, and Kate and I walked it and saw it, and it seems to be well outside from my reckoning.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. There's sort of in this lighter shaded area, there's a mowed yard area, then there's a strip of woodland here, and then a pond, a pool, not a sort of like
It's well defined. It's not like
well
wet
defined.
meadow.
That's the word.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
well
not wet
defined.
meadow transition where it's all
Right. It's not a
paved.
a gentle transition. It's the edge of water and then woods. So it was to the non-professional eye, pretty clear to be able to see, and it was well staked and marked and measured, and had actually had the tape measure out on the ground. Like if all site visits could be so easy and entertaining.
And just for the record, because the meeting is being recorded, it was Melanie Cheeseman at Natural Heritage with whom I spoke and corresponded back and forth. The cover letter that I submitted dated March 4th gives her verbatim recap of her saying that it is not a MESA project. So anybody can see that document that was submitted. So she green-lighted it, and I'm hoping the commission will do the same.
All right. Thank you very much. Do we have any discussion or questions?
Right.
Looks good. I'll make a motion to approve if you would like one.
Yes, please.
All right, make a motion to approve the project, the -1, did we say?
Yep,
With standard conditions?
yes.
Okay,
Second.
Andy, we'll vote by roll call. David,
I,
Andy.
Aye.
Michael,
aye.
I vote aye as well. Plan is approved.
Outstanding. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
So if the standard conditions, how might I get a copy of those so I can play ball correctly here?
I
is it
believe
on the website?
Shep can send those over to you.
Sure. It'll be attached to the determination.
To the DOA.
Determination, yeah, the DOA. They'll be attached.
Super.
They're pretty pro forma stuff,
Okay. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben. Good
And-
luck.
Oh, one question, if I may, before I lose you. Is my memory correct in that the RDA is valid for 3 years?
Yes,
So I have 3 years to do the pole barn.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
And that's to start it, right, Shep, not to complete it, or is it to complete it and issue the order, the certificate of compliance?
Go ahead, Shep.
that's, the point is, you need to have it completed by that time. you can apply to extend the term of the negative determination. The convention is 3 years if you need it or less. And you need to apply for that more than 30 days from the term of the current determination, because determinations have a 3-year life like everything else in wetlands stuff. So 2 years and 11 months from the time we issue the determination, you need to be sure, if you want to extend it, you need to be sure that you've asked to do so. You can do it with a letter. You can do it with an email addressed to the commission. We don't stand on formality, but you do need to ask before 30 days before it runs out.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Okay. Now we move on to the public hearings. The Great Barrington Conservation Commission is holding these public hearings to consider notices of intent under the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, the Great Barrington Wetlands Bylaw, or the Berkshire Scenic Mountains Act as follows. Item number 1, a notice of intent from Burke Hill 72 GB LLC, property at 72 Stockbridge Road. Excuse me. I think I saw Neil Elms here. Map 12, lot 49 for proposed repaving a new handicap ramp and related site work, continued from February 23rd, 2022. And I've invited Neil Elms.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
We have a second.
Hang on, Shep, you got
Shep.
something to say before we open?
Yes. We've had logistical problems with this one because we have a commission member who has recused himself from this because he is an abutter to other property that the owner of this property is. And that's Andrew Mencken, and he's out of town tonight. So we're very limited in terms of the number of members that we have to consider this. I don't know. Let's see. We've got Michael, Andrew, David, and Kate. If it was unanimous, we could pass it and move on. If not, we'll have to wait till March or April.
Well, isn't this situation one where the work is actually substantially done already?
Do you want me to answer, David?
Well, yeah, why don't we open the public hearing? We've got a motion on the table to open the public hearing. I'll second it, and then we can have Neil give a brief description of the project and share his screen, and then open it up to the public.
Good. Thank you, Andy.
All right, we'll vote on opening the public hearing. David,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So the public hearing is opened. So we can go ahead. You want to say hi to everybody? Hi. We can go ahead and let's, yeah, Neil, if you'll catch us up to speed and refresh all our memories on the project.
Sure. This is an ongoing 6-month endeavor so far. So let's back up all the way to October, David, for your benefit. We had decided to repave an existing parking lot here at 72 Stockbridge Road. The paving company decided to help clean up 300 plus square feet of the riverbank, and in doing so disturbed that area, and therefore it was considered a violation. I was cited a violation on October 8th of 2021. We paid that fine, and subsequently I was issued an enforcement order on October 18th of 2021. Whereas we hired Foresight Land Services to do an immediate NOI to rectify the situation. But in the meantime, of course, the paving company decided to make sure that a silt fence and baffles were in place. And so we mitigated the site as best we could right up to that point. We submitted the NOI for that disturbed area through through Foresight Land Services on November 12th. The next Concom meeting, which should have happened within 21 days of that, or at least the hearing should have happened within 21 days of that NOI submission, was actually moved up to November 17th, I believe. Shep, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And therefore, there wasn't enough time to notify the public of the public hearing. And so it was delayed until December. December's meeting was canceled. Therefore, it got pushed to January. At the January meeting, there was 3 members present who voted and approved to issue an OOC. And I wouldn't be here today if I knew better. I had heard that there was some confusion about mathematics, about what a majority is, and what that definition is in the 310 CMR, but it's very clear in 10.04. And so I'm a little bit confused about why I'm here tonight, especially because a continuance of a public hearing is outlined in 10.05, specifically under 3 criteria, none of which actually apply because you needed the consent of the applicant, which is our company, in order to have a continuance. So I'm a little bit interested on how this commission feels that they have the authority, first of all, to continue this meeting or this public hearing, after which a majority voted for and approved the OOC back in January. And mathematics tell me that 3 out of the 5 equals a majority. And if there is any question about that, I'm holding in my hand the enforcement order that is signed by 3 members of this commission, and therefore was quote unquote ratified based on 3 out of the 5 commission members. So I'm not really sure what we're doing here tonight. I'm a little bit frustrated. My time is just as valuable as yours. And so an explanation of why this is continued without my consent would be appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Elms, for catching us up to speed. So the question that the reason we are here today is not related to the regulations that you were mentioning before. There is related to the open meeting laws. So what we did not, none of us understood, or no one who was present at the meeting in January could give an answer to, was we had at the time 5 commissioners, 4 present at the meeting to make a quorum. But when the 4th recused himself, and there were only 3 eligible voters on the agenda item, we were apparently in violation of open meeting law there by not having an eligible voting quorum for that particular agenda item. So yes, there were 4 commissioners at the meeting, and yes, 3, a majority of 5 voted on the item. Unfortunately, that doesn't hold muster with the conduction of a public hearing. I apologize for the confusion and the delay that this has caused. It was not my, I didn't understands the difference between, you know, in a small town, there are going to be conflicts of interest. There are going to be people who have to recuse themselves. But we do that because it's required of us. So we are here today with 4 members present, a quorum and an eligible majority to review the proposal again one more time.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, Kate.
Go ahead, Andy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We're a 7-member board.
We can be up to 7 members. We currently have
Yeah. So 4
5
is
who
our
are
majority,
sworn in.
Neil. We have
Let
vacancies.
me
that have-
let me correct you through the CMR 10, right? It is very specific in 310 CMR 10.04. It specifically says more than 1/2 members then in office, not potentially in office, then in office. That means if there's only 3 of you, I need 2. If there's
Okay,
4 of
I get
you,
it.
I need
I get it,
3.
Neil.
Got
I
it.
get it.
All right.
I get it. So
So I am
in November,
extremely frustrated.
in
and-
November, when we were going to have our meeting and then we moved it up, when we met on site, we talked about the fact that asphalt wouldn't be able to go down in the amount of time that between the meeting and the
That's
meeting
correct. The
date
plant,
that was proposed, that
plant
wouldn't happen,
closed.
right?
That is correct.
Have the plants open?
The plant will open in the 2nd week of April.
Okay, so no work could have been conducted between the on-site meeting, the November commission meeting, and today, correct?
That's not the point. The point is the CMR is
I'm just
specific
asking- I'm
about
just asking if
timelines and
that's the case.
guidelines,
I'm
and
just
we
asking if
need to
that's the
follow
case.
those.
All right.
I'm just asking
listen,
if that's the case.
both-
If any work
everyone
could
who
have
is
been
present here in the
conducted on
meeting, we are going to conduct this meeting with civility and with respectful discussion. If I need to, I will mute everyone and you can raise your hands to ask permission to speak. We're not going to interrupt each other. We're not going to raise voices. We are not going to speak over other people. I want this to be conducted in an orderly manner. Mr. Elms, I'm going to remind you that what you are here today is to ask this Conservation Commission to vote to approve a proposal before us, and it would be in your interest to desist from insulting our intelligence and our volunteer efforts for the town of Great Barrington.
I'm glad you take this serious because I do too. So
that's I guess the only question I was asking is, could any work have been conducted between our November site meeting and today?
yes, the sub base could have been put down in order to help with the sidewalk safety. If you've walked across in front of this building in the past 4 or 5 months, right, there is a 6-inch gap between the sidewalk and the drive. We could have eliminated that.
Yes, and all of these problems could have been avoided by you submitting an NOI for work done on a property that is subject to jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission before any of this work was engaged, before an asphalt company, before a paving company was engaged. This all could have been signed, sealed, stamped, and delivered 6 months ago. We are here today to make a determination. Now, after the fact, it is not helpful to begin work and then make a foul of a wetland and then come to us and insult us and then ask us then to do favors for you.
I'm not
It's not going to
insulting.
work very well for you.
Madam Chair, I am simply saying that some of this could have been avoided. And you're absolutely right, right? We could have said, hey, we're about to pave, reminding you that paving is an existing lot is exempt. I didn't need an NOI to repave the lot. So it's okay. Here we are. We're stuck in the same place. I'm asking you to approve this OOC for the 300+ square feet of disturbance that happened so that we can move this forward.
Jeff, go ahead. Okay, hand raised.
Go ahead, Shep.
Thank you. At the risk of throwing a you know, Molotov cocktail in the middle of a fire. Anyone who owns property within 100 feet of a perennial stream, who's going to strip off a parking lot, regrade it, repave it. If they had their wits about them, they would consult the Conservation Commission beforehand. There's no need to bring to this forum a contentious kind of argument. No one is trying to prohibit the property owner from doing what he needs to do. And we have seen nothing but ultimately cooperation about other things elsewhere in town that this property owner has sought to do. I'd like to turn the volume down on the conversation, please.
Thank you, Shep, for your wise words.
Thanks, Shep. I understand. Look, it's not just out of frustration, but I feel like we've been sitting on our hands long enough. We'd like to take care of this. It's in our best interest. It's in the town's best interest. There's nothing more else that I can produce to you to ask you for approval for this. We've seen the NOI. Everyone has had a chance to review it. You've paid a site visit. We've discussed this over the past several months. Is there anything else that we can do besides send this over to an appeal outside of this forum to make this happen?
All that would need to happen right now is for a vote on, we can take comment from any members of the public who are present, then a vote to close the public hearing, and then a vote to on whether to approve the plan as proposed. Are there any comments or questions from members of the commission? Are there any comments or questions from members of the public? You can raise your hand by clicking the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen if you'd like to comment and be recognized. Eileen Mooney, I see your hand is raised. I'll give you the opportunity to speak here. If there's anything you'd like to share. Eileen, I've given you access to speak. You'd have to unmute yourself, I believe. If you've called in, it's by dialing *6. Go ahead, Eileen, if you can hear us. All right. Unfortunately, Eileen, we're not able to hear you right now. So if you would like to rejoin, please do. Oh, it says won't work. She says
Okay,
won't work. Go ahead, Michael.
In the mess, she sent a chat saying her mic won't work and sorry, and she was just said she was offering to look for the Division of Open Government about quorums. if anyone wanted to find out, but I think that we can certainly follow that up on our own, but I think we can move to a conclusion.
Well, may I say, if there's a problem with that, that needs to be addressed later. But the prime reason for this gentleman being here tonight is to vote on this. That's my opinion.
Yeah, with the quorum.
That echoes what other people have said. So what I'm suggesting is that we don't just turn our back on the complaints that this gentleman had, but to figure out later on whether we've created a problem or not. In the meantime, maybe it is time to vote on this and make something happen.
Okay, if there's any other discussion, or if there is no other discussion, we can take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
A second.
Vote by roll call to close the public hearing. David,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The public hearing is closed. The next step would be for someone to make a motion to approve the plan as presented.
I'll make a motion. Shep's a -3, correct?
What's the question?
It's a -3
Yes.
within the resource. I'll make a motion to approve the plan with, did we have any standard?
No, I'm sorry.
It's an NOI.
Yeah, this is an NOI.
NOI. Yeah.
So it's an approval and then whatever, there's a standard order of conditions, and if you have any other conditions you want to add. I'm sorry.
I do remember an order that was asked of us to present to Shep in writing the type of plants that were going to be planted there. There will be 12 winterberry plants going into that area.
I'll make a
Right,
motion to
anyone?
approve the plan as presented with the special condition of planting 12 winterberry plants as presented to Shep and approved by Shep and all standard conditions.
Second.
We will vote by roll call to approve the item. The plan is presented. David,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The plan is approved.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Agenda item, public hearing number 2, an NOI from Greylock Design Associates for Eric and Jennifer Aronson, property at 9 Button Down Lane, map 34, lot 9. The proposed project is for installation of native understory plantings as a restoration effort to replace trees and shrubs that were erroneously removed from the riverfront area. Continued from February 23rd, 2022. And Rob Ackroyd, I believe.
That's
We
right.
need to open this public hearing.
We'll take a motion to open the public hearing. Michael made the motion, Andy seconded. David,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The public hearing is opened.
Hey, everybody. So very
Good
quickly.
evening.
How's it? Actually, how's it going? But I think I know. So the only update that I have, and Shep and I have had a brief conversation. We still are waiting on our DEP file number. However, we have received our natural heritage letter essentially stating if we follow a certain list of criteria, which we essentially outlined in our previous hearing, then they will not consider this an adverse taking and green light the project. I think the most germane item on that list was to use indigenous material, which we certainly agreed to and outlined at our last meeting. Additionally, we updated our plan pursuant to Andrew's request to add an additional 25 plants and also to arrange or agree to plant those not only in the outer riparian, but also get them into the inner riparian as well. So I realize that we do not have a DEP file number and the commission cannot close the hearing, but I hope we can see our way clear tonight to allow us to do a couple items here so that we can be poised to move this forward in a timely manner when we do receive the file. And those two requests would be three requests, I believe. One would be, there are the piles of brush that we've left on site until we had some feedback from Natural Heritage. We'd like to be allowed to burn those piles while the burn season is still available to us. The second request is that, and I mentioned this briefly to Shep the other days, over the last couple of months and during some of these high windstorms, there have been two other trees that have actually fallen, and the client would like to cut them and remove them. One of them is actually outside of any jurisdictional area, but I still told them to wait until we had our meeting, just to avoid even the appearance of anything nefarious. The third item that I'd like to get permission from is we'd like to be able to order the plant material and secure the material. If we don't, and we're continued till April, which we're going to be continued anyways, I believe, then we're at the second half of April and things start to get a little dicey, if you will. So that's where I'm at this evening. And I don't know how the commission feels, but I'd love to discuss it.
Rob, will you just summarize? The three items are ordering the plants, the brush piles, and the down trees?
Yes.
Okay. I remember we discussed the brush piles at the last meeting, but I don't remember what the outcome was.
The outcome, I think the outcome was we would discuss it. We would wait until we got feedback from Natural Heritage with regards to their position on the project itself. My personal opinion, for what it's worth, is that to bring a vehicle in there to be able to gather that stuff, put it into another vehicle and transport it to a place off-site is going to do far more damage to that forest floor than just burning it where it is.
All right. And any progress from DEP on the file number?
We have, as Shep alluded to, we have numerous, this office has numerous projects in front of DEP. Excuse me. I've not been able to get a file number for any of them, despite numerous conversations with Brian Barrington. I've not gotten anything. I honestly, excuse me, don't know when to expect them. All that being one other thing, all that being said, this is not a major project in my estimation. We're not paving a parking lot. We are replanting an area that was unintentionally cleared. So I've been doing this a long time, as has Shep. Not so sure what pearls of wisdom DEP is going to provide to us that we haven't already accounted for.
Sure. Shep, go ahead.
Yeah. This is a common problem throughout DEP land here in Western Massachusetts. They've had a recent turnover of personnel and new people have been put in place, and the whole communication system of who talks to who and who does what has been sort of reorganized. And I am aware that numerous municipalities, Great Barrington is certainly not alone in this, are sitting around waiting for file numbers so they can open hearings or close hearings or however they deal with those things. And the new guys that have been assigned to cover Western Massachusetts for the Western Office of DEP Wetlands Program are their reaction time is kind of lacking, and I will continue to put pressure on, and sooner or later the ice will break and the water will flow, but it'll probably come in a great rush, and personnel changes may may follow. I don't know, but I think the thing to do is to just understand that in due course we'll get the numbers we need. And we can proceed from a regulatory point of view to do what we do or issue paperwork and all that. But in the meantime, I think what we should do is to react to things being presented to us in good faith, with like good faith, and do what we can to facilitate everything moving along.
Sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting. Was there the planting plan reviewed and kind of agreed upon somewhat as far as ordering the plants?
I think what was agreed upon, the palette of plant material was agreed upon, being all indigenous and diversifying. The quantity we discussed at that particular point was 50. Andrew wanted us to add half again to get it to 75. We've done that, and if you want to share my screen, I can simply show you.
Yeah, it'd be helpful.
And sure, of course. If you'll give me permission to share with screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I? Okay, that should work now.
So at our last meeting, just to bring you back up to speed, this is the bank of the Williams River. The hatched area is the area is the polygon from natural heritage. This is the inner riparian. This is the outer riparian. The last plan, we had 50 plants concentrated between the inner and outer riparian, all through this area, all through here. Andrew asked us to increase the number to 75 and push some of them in through the inner riparian zone as well. So this is what we've done. The number here indicates 75. We've adjusted our quantities accordingly, have not changed the genus or species of material, but simply added numbers to them. We also discussed at that particular point in time that these are general locations of where the plants would be. They'll be adjusted in the field based on the trees that remain. And I think, I don't want to be presumptuous, but my recollection is that that was pretty much agreed upon by everybody at the meeting, that we would lay these out and plant them throughout this area and take 75 of them and work them all through.
Great, that's helpful. And I think Natural Heritage had made reference to lawn not being approved as a turf mixture. Is there a different turf mixture that's within the resource area that would be proposed? And then Shep, I don't know if you've had any correspondence with them as to whether or not.
We're not proposing any seeding at all. The area that the plants are going is current. Where the plants are going, in addition to dropping some trees erroneously, my client did some brush mowing, which was actually, in my estimation, is a good thing, because most of the material in there was brambles and barberry. At our last meeting, we also discussed allowing the client to continue to mitigate the non-native invasive species that have established themselves within the riverfront area.
So effectively a no-mow area in the riverfront? Is that the intent?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. years ago, this commission, although nobody years ago still on this commission, approved a single mode walking path in this grassed area down to the river. The remaining area that didn't have trees in it was to be allowed to grow into whatever meadow established itself. And so we're not looking to do anything any different other than keep the one single mode path to go down to the river.
Okay.
So I applaud Shep and thank you. I do believe that, you know, we will get numbers and we can take care of the regulatory / administrative aspects of this in April, hopefully, and hopefully not May. But in the interim, you know, I do think it's not an incredibly time sensitive project, but to a certain extent it is. The burn season, by the time you meet next time, will come close to being closed. Will we risk the possibility of not being able to get the plants we want? Maybe not, but maybe. And my sense is, I don't see any reason why we should wait.
Yeah, I mean, personally, based on the plan that I've seen, and then with the site walk, the brush piles, unless it was an intent on the commission suggesting they maintain the brush piles, I don't see any reason why, aside from heavy equipment getting down in there and potentially making more of a mess than is currently there, to get rid of the brush piles and allow them to order the plants. I mean, again, we're waiting on a DEP filing number that's more administrative than anything else. So to allow them to at least move forward, I don't see any issue with that.
Yeah, I think ordering the plants, certainly. We're not going to require less plants. Removing the trees that are already down, fine by me. I don't see any reason why the brush piles can't be burned.
Yeah, and they're running out of time as far as open burn season.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shep.
I'm sorry to be bookish and regulatory in my nature, but we're dealing with a notice of intent and we're dealing with an order of conditions. As the person who's charged with responsibility of crafting the order, to sort of allow A and B to go forward, sort of, but we're waiting for a file number and we don't get to finality anywhere without that until we actually issue the order. There are questions of the term of validity of the order that the commission may choose to sign and issue. The order of conditions will be for 3 years from the date it's issued. Right now, we don't really have an ability under the act to allow people to sort of go forward with A and do a little of B and whatever, and we'll wait and see what comes next. I would like to, and furthermore, burn piles. Another name for a burn pile is a brush pile, and the other name for a brush pile is habitat. So I don't see the urgency of burning a pile of brush and trees and limbs and whatever that could be burned next year in the spring if need be. I don't see that as urgent. I understand from an aesthetic point of view, yes, it may be a high priority item for the landowner, but from our perspective, I don't think that makes a lot of difference. I'd like to hold tough on the order of conditions until we get a file number, and then we'll issue it and let the chips fall where they may.
May I make a comment in support of what Shep was just saying? There's a third way of looking at it as far as removing the pile and making a big mess with a piece of equipment, burning them, which I'm not sure what the Wetlands Protection Act thinks about burning in a buffer zone. So third option, everybody, let them rot. Then they become temporary housing for animals. And when they're no longer useful in that, nobody's even going to notice they're there.
Well, and that's why I prefaced my statement with unless the commission, other commission members care to see them remain, because that's definitely a viable option.
Any of us that have property in the woods or have spent time in the woods know how fast that stuff disappears. There's nothing very big in those piles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying it has to be that way. I'm just saying that's an option.
So,
and I don't feel at this point that, as Shep pointed out, that we don't have much control over things. If we say, yeah, that's okay, until all the pieces come together to put this together in such a way it can be voted on, we don't have any power on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody be.
I think, and Kate had mentioned too, that, like you said, Kate, that based on the comments at the last meeting and the proposed plan at the last meeting, and now the revised plan increasing the STEM count by 50%, we're not going to, just to give Robert a little bit of feedback, we're not going to reduce that number.
Right.
If that gives you any solace, Robert, as far as ordering plans.
You seeking solace? Am I seeking solace? I don't think so. I mean, look, obviously I don't agree, but I'm not going to argue with you about it. It's really not that big of a deal. You know, we'll get around to planting, and we'll get around to dealing with the brush pile. It's unfortunate that all this hinges on administrative component, but it is what it is. You know, like I said, I'm not going to jump up and down and scream and yell. It's not that big of a deal, nor is it to get rid of the brush piles. But again, it's not going to become an issue. So if it's the commission's opinion that we need to wait until we have a file number because you need assurances, you know, the other assurance you have is we chose to go this route, meaning this route of an NOI, because we would have to get a certificate of compliance when finished, which would be which would bring closure to the project. So there, you know, the commission still has to issue a COC at some particular point. So even if you were to allow certain aspects of this to move forward, you know, before having an order of conditions, you still have the COC to be issued. I'm unclear as to what would happen, what conditions would arise between now and April 24th.
Go ahead, Shep.
The opportunity to achieve finality and a order of conditions and a certificate of compliance is a great benefit for the violator.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So Shep, I mean, obviously I haven't been at this as long as you and the other board members have, but what are downsides for not allowing or for holding off on the brush burning? I mean, I understand the argument about them being temporary habitat, but is it just that we're ceding a certain amount of control, or is it more than that?
If I may, the only two things that a conservation commission can enforce are an order of conditions and an enforcement order. If you allow someone to go forward and do just on a mutual good faith agreement where there's a substantial violation of a wetland resource area and endangered species habitat, you allow someone to go forward without control, without a specific plan that can be evaluated as being done properly when you get to the other end of it, etc. You have no way of enforcing. You cannot do it. the wetlands regulatory environment, the regulatory authorities will simply laugh at you. DEP will simply laugh at you if you allow someone to go forward without a leash on it, without control. Once you get into an enforcement situation where someone is submitting an order of conditions to do specifically something to repair an injury to a resource area. I wish it were otherwise. I wish we could just say, yeah, sure, go do this, do that, do the other. It's like, that's not where we are. We're in endangered species habitat. We're in riverfront resource area, and these are territories of endeavor where goodwill is a little weak from a regulatory point of view.
I see. Well, I will defer to senior members on the commission and to you on this matter.
Yeah, I think that Shep makes it pretty plain. Like you say, it leaves it too open-ended to allow them to do that. And ultimately, we need an order of conditions to be able to enforce it. We need a DEP number in order to issue an order of conditions. So to piecemeal, it doesn't give us any teeth.
Yep.
I got one last comment about all this. If the brush piles are really an issue, who put them there? Who created this mess? It's a violation. That's all I want to say. Let them rot. Until such a time as this whole thing can get voted on.
All
I
right.
agree.
Any other comments or questions or discussion? Any members of the public who want to weigh in, share anything, speak? A motion, anybody want to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion to, continue to the April meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Oh, oh, we're not closing the public hearing. We keep going. Thank you. Okay, we will vote by roll call. David?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Very good. Thank you, folks. We'll see you in a month.
All right, Rob, we appreciate your time and hope we can get the wheels to turn by the next meeting. Okay, where's my agenda? Okay, that's it for public hearings. We have a few items for discussion of interest or concern. Number one is a draft letter summarizing the commission's November 29th, 2021 site visit to several properties within the mapped scenic mountain area along Castle Hill Avenue, continued from February 23rd, 2022. Go ahead, Shep.
Yeah, my apologies, Madam Chairman. With all good intention, I expected I would have a draft out to you for this meeting. Legal and medical and other things have gotten in the way, and I hope to have it for you soon. Next meeting.
Understood. Thank you for the update. We look forward to seeing your letter, your summarized notes.
It will be coming.
We really appreciate that. Discussion item number 2, request from White Engineering to amend the order of conditions DEP file number 167-0439, adding a stormwater system to manage groundwater encountered while excavating for a new foundation under the barn at 28 Kirk Street. Shannon was on earlier, but I don't see her on now. Yeah, go ahead, Shep. Do you have any updates?
Yeah. At the last meeting, we had a shortage of votes in favor. We were unable to approve the proposed amendment to the order of conditions for this stormwater groundwater system. One member of the commission was on vacation, and another member had not been on the site visit and had no real understanding of what was being proposed. And so we ended up with 3 in favor, and that's not enough. Unfortunately, this commission is chartered as a 7-member commission, and that in order to approve something, this commission has to have 4 votes to do it. We're in the process of recruiting and organizing some more members to the commission. We have one coming up pretty soon, a really good one. In the meantime, we have held a site visit last week with Andy Didio was there, went through the process. I reviewed the site plan, project plan in the office with David. And I think David is feeling inclined to. I'll let him speak for himself, but I think he's more aware of the situation now. And while it was said at the meeting, the last meeting, that the vote was being 3-1 was approved. In fact, from a statutory regulatory perspective, it's not. That was not so. So we need to reopen the vote. The public hearing has already been closed by unanimous vote, and all we're doing is retaking the vote, if you will, the roll call. Madam Chairman, I think the ball's in your court.
Okay, so just to be clear, do we or do we not need to reopen the public hearing?
No, it's been
No?
closed.
Okay.
All you're
Okay.
going to do is vote.
We're going to take a roll call vote on the 28 Kirk Street groundwater management plan as presented previously and has been reviewed and visited by all of us. Okay,
Yep.
so we'll take a motion from someone on that.
I'll make a motion to review, just to recap, but yeah, I saw the site and it seems as though they're doing everything they can to meet the DEP's, not DEP, DPW's requirements. So I'll make a motion to approve the plan as presented.
The motion is to amend.
Oh, sorry, to amend.
Yeah.
I second.
All right, thank you. We'll vote by roll call. David?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The
Thank you,
amendment
everybody.
Plan is approved.
Amended.
And
Just for everybody's sake, I had made one recommendation, and it was independent of the plan, more of just a kind of a, hey, this might help, is to set a curtain drain on the high side of the absorption field. Based on the soil type and everything, I don't know how much absorption they're going to get out of that, but it was almost that it seems like they've got a decent amount of runoff that's coming down through the yard.
There's
That's
a
gonna make it.
very challenging spot.
Yeah, so
I couldn't see that just driving by.
yeah,
And that's Shep.
just suggested maybe a curtain.
really see what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think they're always gonna deal with a wet yard there, and they're just kind of pumping water up into a wet yard. So suggested a curtain drain, maybe to come down to the pump chamber and try and, de-water it before it gets to the absorption field, give it some absorptive capacity before it overflows, but obviously it wasn't a condition or anything, just a recommendation. Brent had reached out to me independently and said, hey, he wanted to talk. We weren't able to catch up before the meeting, but again, it was more of just a recommendation for them. Shep.
Andy, have you heard from Brent White?
He reached out last week. We tried to catch up.
Yeah, okay. I think this is the engineer, everybody. This is the engineer on the job. And I think White Engineering. And I think he wants to talk with Andy about that idea. It sounds like that struck a chord with him. And this might be finding fertile ground there.
A good chord or a bad chord?
What?
A good chord or a bad chord?
No, a good chord. No, I think you might have found, a place to plant that idea.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Approval of minutes. New recording secretary.
Our recording secretary, Stacy Ostrow, is she on anywhere? Is she monitoring?
I don't see her. There's a couple names I don't recognize. She may just be planning to review the recording.
Yeah, we met actually in the office this past week, and I had expected that we were going to see draft minutes for January and February. For some reason, whatever. I mean, she's handling the select board and other things in town hall, and some with way deeper minute requirements than ours. But in any event, what we discussed is a process of her generating draft minutes and my circulating those to the chairperson and then out to members and on to the meeting for a vote. And we'll get there. I'm not concerned the fact that we don't have them, but they're forthcoming. I've seen the drafts, but they weren't really in shape to circulate. So we'll get there.
We will get there. I've been in her. I feel her pain. So we have for citizen speak time, commission speak time. Before my memory fails me, I've got Jess Toro and then David Paulson. And then we can do any other commissioners or citizens. Let me move Jess up and she should be able to join us.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jess.
Hi. So we have filed an ecological restoration notice of intent for the cut paint and future spray at Rising Pond, but we haven't received our DEP number. I'm going to be away in April, so I know it's late, and I just want a few minutes to describe the work in case we do get the DEP number by the April meeting. So the Rising Pond CR, the conservation area, is where we have been doing the forestry mowing that was approved under the RDA. And now we're coming to you for, right now, a pretty minimal amount of cut paint in the southern section because we were able to forestry mow so much. And then, a moderate to dense area of about 1.5 acres of cut paint in the eastern section. So because of kind of the treatment, we filed this ecological restoration notice of intent. Heritage pre-approved this back when the grant funding was approved. So we have all of that in place. It's just waiting on the DEP number now. I don't know if you have any questions or I could bring up the map again.
Could you bring up the map? I'm having a hard time picturing the spot.
Sure.
Let me give you screen share permission. Go ahead.
All right. Whoops, I think I did that in the wrong order. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can, well, I can't totally reduce it. There we go. Now, are you able to kind of see both areas at the same time?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So the southern area, Division Street is at the southernmost point of that kind of treatment area. And that southern area has been, I would say, 90% forestry mode now. So there's not a ton of cut paint to be done in that area, but there will be future retreatment that will be necessary in that area. And then the eastern section, we are able to forestry mow some of this section here, and then a little bit up in here. But this is kind of where the cut paint will occur the most, is in that section. And it's just mostly slope and how kind of wet and soggy it is to not want to get the machinery in there, if that makes sense. And this is the solar field, and then the ballpark, which is on 183, is right up here. If that gives you a sense of it. Do you guys have any questions?
What
Just kinda-
invasives are you going with? Sorry, David.
Go ahead.
I'm just kind of curious, how much more forestry mowing do you still have to do there?
I would say we're the bulk of the forestry mowing is done. The material that will cut and paint, where we can have the forestry mower, we will bring that in to mulch up the cut material.
Okay, gotcha.
But the bulk of the work is done. The bulk of the forestry mowing is done. We really wanted to kind of get in there when the ground was frozen, or at least not super saturated, and that has been completed.
Part of the reason I'm curious about it is I'd kind of like to see the equipment working.
Oh, it's actually at McAllister right now, if you want to go check it out.
Okay. Was there somebody going to be working with it tomorrow?
No, not in the rain.
not in the-
I think
not in
that's
the
going to be, yeah, I think that's going to be too slippery, but Friday, definitely.
Okay,
And it should be pretty visible.
all right. I'm sorry to interrupt with this, everybody. I apologize.
Any other questions?
Is it mostly shrub, Jess? Like what are the invasives you're dealing with for the most part?
So in that southern area, it was a lot of honeysuckle and bittersweet, like closest to the river. In that eastern section, it's a lot of buckthorn trees. And it being an oxbow and kind of some wetter areas, you absolutely don't want buckthorn near kind of saturated areas because of the allelopathic chemical it secretes. So that where we could get the forestry mower in, that has been mulched down already. But that eastern section will have some cut paint of the buckthorn and the honeysuckle there. A little less bittersweet than there is kind of immediately closest to the river. And 40 tires. I mean, that is a junkyard in there. I've just never seen it so trashed by
It was a junkyard in there.
the things we found in there. It is out of control. But luckily, I do believe that there's going to be future volunteer cleanup efforts like where the parking lot went in.
Well, just think of what BNRC did on the Housatonic Flats thing. There was an incredible mess left there. And yes, they had a lot of help, but boy, the amount of junk they took out of there.
This is going to be very similar. Car chassis. I mean, it's been awful. But I would say the what we're coming for with the notice of intent for the southern sections, probably only 5% of all the work there. And in the eastern section, I would say it's probably about 50% of the work will be that cut paint. So it's kind of a mix, but I'm going to be away in April, so I wanted to talk about it now.
Glad you did.
Thank you. Any other questions? I know you can't vote on anything, but. All right. And will you do a site visit for this once you have the DEP number, Shep?
Well, that ideally we would. How much we're going to be able for people to see and understand, I guess, will be more up to you and your tour guide expertise.
Yeah,
I
so
would like to see it. I haven't been
I
down
would
there
love to
since
show it off.
before the solar field went in, so I would like to just take a look.
and it's really the forestry mowing that's made it night and day. It's spectacular. But then basically you hit a wall of like how heavy the invasives are for other sections that will be done in the future. So we're, you can see the potential, especially if a trail ever went in through there, it would be gorgeous. But anyway, if we could do a site visit, not the week of spring break, so not the week of your meeting, that would, I can't make that week. So if it could happen beforehand, that'd be great.
So when?
So as long as it's not the week of the 18th. Anytime before that works, but not.
Before the 18th of April?
Yes.
That early, okay.
You've come to visit.
All right. Thank you, Jess. I don't think we have any other questions.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
I think our next meeting is the 28th of April, so.
Yes.
She might be thinking that if she's gone the week of the 18th, we could do it the week of the meeting, but that we'll let her figure that out, I guess. Or you might want to let her know. Sure.
We'll find a time that works.
Yeah.
Next up is David Paulson, update on the Agawam Lake restoration plan. Go ahead, Shep.
Yeah, just if I could jump in here, apologize to David. There's a major permitting event which will probably not go down in history as a notable thing, but it should. Agawam Lake wetland resource area is on the west side, the left side going north of Route 7. As you cross out of Great Barrington into Stockbridge, there's a vast wetland and open water pond, which is Agawam Lake, and one of the giant invasive plant species situations that we see in southern Berkshire County. Absolutely amazing. Almost 2 years ago, am I right, David? I think.
June 24th.
Yeah. Long time ago, the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program filed a notice of intent to take on invasive species work in the Agawam Lake conservation area. And I think probably the Stockbridge Conservation Commission was just overwhelmed with it. I mean, this is a monstrous big project. It's very dense, very technological. Lots of different methodologies being involved to deal with wetland plants, invasive species. And for whatever reason, Stockbridge sort of went on tilt, and they just couldn't respond. Eventually, the Natural Heritage, Fish and Wildlife and Natural Heritage ran out of patience, and they filed a request for a superseding order with the DEP. And the trumpets blaring in the sunshine. Here comes DEP with a superseding order of conditions for this huge and very complex wetland plant project. Now, in Great Barrington, the very southern end of this whole area, it's a relatively small area, they'd filed a notice of intent with us back then, and it was somewhat contentious with the commission because it involved the application of glyphosates, etc. And we knew that the big filing had been done with Stockbridge and that they had nothing had been generated and they had not issued anything. And then we heard rumors that they were about to, or that they already had voted, but they hadn't issued. I don't know what the truth is, but the truth is that nothing actually happened there. And so DEP finally acted and issued a order of conditions, superseding order of conditions, which is a very heavy, thick, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, something like that, document with brilliant graphics and all kinds of maps and things. It's a heck of a lot for a lay commission to absorb in in a short period of time. But it occurred to me that there were revisions and changes and different strategies that had evolved out of that process of getting that superseding order from DEP, and that we wanted the Great Barrington end of it, which had been sort of pushed off to the side, waiting to see what Stockbridge had done. We would want to be sure that what we were permitting in Great Barrington was consistent with what was already permitted to go by DEP in Stockbridge. Because the truth is, this is a contiguous wetland habitat, and it only makes sense that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and we should be on the same wavelength. So with that in mind, I told Mr. Paulson that what I wanted him to generate, if he could, and he very generously agreed to do it. I wanted him to generate a document which would cover the implications for Great Barrington, the changes in the original Great Barrington presentation, rising out of the Stockbridge experience and the superseding order that has been received. And this is very fresh and very new news. And he asked if he could come and sort of talk to the commission. And I don't expect that he's going to get, into the weeds about the details, but I wanted the commission to get a preview of this. And over the course of the next month, my hope is that as I distribute to the commission a copy of the superseding order, so you can see what's there. I mean, the depth and breadth of it, and then see Mr. Paulson's explanation of the impact on the Great Barrington part of the project, that those things can come together and everybody can understand and deal with the whole thing cohesively. And that's, I'm sorry to go on so long, but that was the idea. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, commissioners. So it's been 2 years. In June 24th, 2020, the commission did close the hearing, which was greatly appreciated. Kind of waiting to see what the outcome of Stockbridge was. We did file an appeal, and ultimately we received time later a superseding order of conditions. We also felt the turnover in DEP staff. I had at one point 3 different staff working on this, and they on and off, and finally came back again to help close it out. And I thank Brian Harrington and his leadership to make that possible. The information that's in your packets that you'll be reviewing is consistent with the original order of conditions. As we went through the process, DEP wanted greater specificity as related to project scope, purpose, and monitoring. So there's nothing new from what was originally submitted. It's just additional clarification in detail. And so that's really what it's centered around. And our goal would be to be consistent between both the Stockbridge and the Great Barrington side. We see this as one system, and it's a very thick SOC. It has 47 special conditions. And so I was spending a lot of time with DEP Western Region before, after, and during every treatment. So it's I think it's a well put together document. It's very intensive, and happy to answer any questions. The exciting thing is here we have an opportunity to restore one of the state's most precious wetland systems, and really keep it in a high functioning state for hopefully perpetuity.
Well, I remember two things about this presentation from the last time. One was I learned the term calcareous fen, which is people are so excited that this is one of two fens in the state, I think.
Yep.
And I have a vague memory of maybe the use of controlled burning being
Yes.
part of the project also, and that was also sort of exciting.
Yeah.
So what I hear is that forthcoming will be an update on things, and that we hope to have. It makes a lot of sense for the Stockbridge side and the Great Barrington side to be reading from the same page. Are there any questions from the commissioners at this point? Go ahead, Shep.
Mr. Paulson, who's going to do the work?
Sure. So work is generally completed by kind of two categories. One is division staff. So our biologists or habitat managers. We have a whole prescribed fire team. I'm a member of that as well as we have our restoration folks who are licensed pesticide applicators. In some cases, when a larger treatment is kind of beyond the capacity of the division, we do contract out to licensed qualified pesticide applicators to treat larger stands. And we have historically done that in the past, but most of this is going to be done in-house. On the fire planning side, we already have our fire ecologists beginning to plan out like what it would take, as you can imagine, beyond just the wetland, taking caution there. We work with the local fire department, air quality, all those other variables that come into play to ensure that the public is safe and it's meeting all the various other checks and balances that are there. And it's typically in these systems done on a small scale because you're working in a complex system with unstable footing, and so the safety of the team is paramount. Besides the resource area, of course.
Yeah, commissioners, you have not ever seen, and you may never again see, an invasive species program like this. This is really something.
One quick question for you, David. Driving by Concobar, obviously Phragmites is a major concern. I didn't think Phragmites responded well to burning and almost enhanced it. Am I all wet on that?
So Phragmites can burn very hot. It's very similar to like a grass fire, for example. So the goal there would be to treat something like Phragmites with herbicide. Now the other native plants in the system that we're trying to promote respond really well to disturbance, and fire regime is very common. In fact, at Campusa Bog in Stockbridge, there's some old archaeological records of Native Americans actually utilizing it as a tool to manage that system, and so it is something that will really enhance the native species and really create vigor and growth and promote new germination as well. So it's something that's been kind of taken away from the landscape, for obvious reasons. So with lightning strikes would have been a common reason, and they'd be just allowed to burn out over time. And we're doing it in a controlled state, trying to manage the intensity so that way we maintain integrity and also have it under control.
So the burn promotes native, and the herbicide suppresses the Phragmites. Gotcha. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And that's kind of the challenge is trying to, we're trying to reduce the competitive edge that invasives currently have in the system and promote the habitat complexity and diversity of the plants that are there, which then in turn benefit the various state listed species of Lepidoptera and marsh birds that are present.
Mhm. Great.
All right, well, thank you. We'll look forward to hearing more updates and
Great.
hopefully moving forward.
Thank you. I'll be available. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, where are we on the agenda? Any other citizens who wish to speak? Commissioners who wish to speak? Mr. Evans, take the floor.
Sorry. I just want to highlight for those, if there any of you have an interest in the science and technology of invasive stuff, this program in the Agawam Swamp is one of maybe two in the state of Massachusetts, where if you want to get yourself involved and just sort of stay in touch and go to meetings or whatever, this is an opportunity that you may never have again if you're really interested in it, to learn, to get exposed to absorb the science and the technology of invasive work. It's going to be something else. Wait till you see the superseding order in Stockbridge. It's amazing.
Where do you gain access to that, Shep? Are they holding meetings?
You're going to get it attached to an email from Shep Evans.
All right, good.
I will send it to you.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll take a motion to close.
Motion.
Great.
Second.
Thanks, everybody, for bearing with us today on a long trudge. We'll look forward to our next meeting, April 27th, and site visits before that. All right, thank you all and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Good night, David.